I'm the spirit of death grip. What you looking at there, buddy?
Eccentric auntie at it again. This is all bullshit aside. This is part 2 of the 5 reasons why, in my opinion, porn sucks balls. Want to stay away from that porn, y'all? Might give you that death grip syndrome. I thought this was a fabulous face filter that was fitting for this particular clip talking about death grip syndrome.
Very common.
What's death grip syndrome?
So it's a Twitch chat degenerate way of describing what Dr. Malik did a great medical job of describing, which is that, so what happens is our body can acclimatize to a certain kind of stimulation. So when, oftentimes what happens when, and I haven't worked with too many women in sexual stuff, way more men, so that there's a selection bias there too. But oftentimes what happens is that boys or men will start to masturbate without any kind of lubrication. And so they almost train their bodies physiologically to climax with a certain degree, like a certain, pounds per square inch of force and a certain sensation, which they get used to, not only at the physiologic level, but also at the neurological level, which Dr. Malik alluded to, that there's a certain kind of visual stimulation that they almost get used to, the brain acclimatizes to, in order to achieve sexual climax. And then what happens is when these people have a sexual relationship for the first time, the sensations and the from a visual perspective, auditory perspective, because the sounds that we hear in these big, fast food pornography productions are nowhere near the sounds in real life. And so the inputs of an actual sexual act make it very difficult to have a satisfied sexual life. And so I think there's a lot of subtlety to, when Dr. Malik said when couples watch porn together, there are also studies that show that as you increase your pornography consumption, that correlates with relationship dissatisfaction. But that could be a chicken or the egg problem. Am I watching more porn because I'm unhappy with the sexual relationship? Or does watching pornography decrease my satisfaction in the relationship? And so I think there's just like so much here to explore.
I feel like if you're watching porn together, it makes me wonder if like the woman's catering to the guy. I don't know, maybe not. There's probably some women that are into it, but I remember I've watched porn with my first boyfriend in college. I didn't really like it. It didn't do anything for me. I was just doing it for him, but maybe there's some women that get into it. I didn't really get into it. I just was like doing it to cater to his sexual preferences or whatever, and just I don't know. But it makes me wonder if like if you're like, why do you need this extra thing to get off? Are you bored already in your sexual relationship? Like I feel like I never like with my third long-term relationship, which was with my last boyfriend. I never really needed any of these external props because like we just had good chemistry. We didn't need all these props. We didn't need all this stuff. I don't like porn. I don't like it. I just want it to go away. Of course, that's never going to happen because people love it. They love porn. It's never going to go away. They love watching people's buttholes fall out of their butts. And they like women getting mistreated and abused in weird ways. And they like dude, there's like weird, creepy child porn shit. Ugh. Like people like watching kids get diddled. Ew, people are creepy. Ew. Okay, so now I'm giving off some anime vibes. Because there's a lot of kink McNasties up in the anime. There's just so many animes with like young anime schoolgirls in like really skimpy outfits with their boobs all like busting out of their like shirts, uniforms and stuff. And they'd always be getting raped by these demons who had these huge venous type penis structures, like just and they'd be like the size of a whole human. The hell? Anyway, here's reason number 3 that Louise Perry is pointing to of why I, in my opinion, don't like porn, is that it's a contributing factor to civilizational decline and negative interpersonal relationships between men and women.
Them based on their, he called it their expansive social energy, but things like their increased wealth, territorial expansion, scientific discovery, like basically all signs that a culture is really thriving. And he concluded that sexually permissive cultures are not socially expansive cultures, which is to say that having a really sexually permissive culture tends to cause civilizational decline, and the civilizations that are on the up tend to be sexually conservative. But there's a kind of cycle. He thinks that that's part of what explains the civilizational cycles that we see across history.
So does that mean we're a civilization in decline?
He would definitely say so, yes, if he was still around. His theory was that this came down to the male energy and how you channel it. So his theory is that if men have to make themselves marriageable in order to get sex, if they have to do whatever it is that a culture considers to be impressive, whether that be being a great warrior or making loads of money or whatever it is, if men have to do this stuff in order to get sex, they're going to do it, right? And if they don't, and if they can, I mean, even worse, he didn't know about internet porn, right? If they can basically trick their monkey brains into thinking that they're getting sex by watching porn and masturbating all day, all of that energy is expended, and all of that drive towards improving themselves is expended, right? To my knowledge, no one has ever repeated his study. I don't know whether his assessment of all of these different cultures was accurate, but I think that psychological explanation has legs. It does seem as if the male libido is a very powerful thing, and controlling it and channeling it is one of the most important things that a society can do.
Has porn revealed innate desires that men have had for thousands of years, or has porn shaped and made more extreme their desires?
I think it's both. I think porn elaborates on these things. You might have the seed of a particular desire, but then if you watch porn that features that desire again and again and again, and you reward it through orgasm, right? You are basically training your brain in this kind of dopamine feedback loop to like that thing. You kind of double down on that thing. I think that that's what porn tends to do to people. So it's not inventing these desires.
So it's not as if like men have always wanted to choke or pee on women, but they've always wanted to dominate women, and seeing that act or acts play out in porn again and again and again normalizes sort of an inclination or a direction.
Yeah. That happened to me, man. After my divorce, I met a dude. He wanted to pee on me. Oh, hell no. Pee and sex should not have anything to do with each other, because porn, though, somehow the two have gotten correlated. What the doo-doo and pee-pee should not have anything to do with sex, okay? And if it does, that's a problem, okay? But that's how kinky things have gotten. It's like, and so much of porn is based on shame. Shame, humiliate me, shame. All the kind of weird ass shit. People's brains have been kinked out, and the normal, subtle energies of sex have been completely distorted and blown out like an overexposure. Ugh.
Yeah, that's my working theory, yeah.
What is your advice to people listening about porn, especially young people? Lots of people that I know are in relationships either where they sometimes watch porn together, or maybe they know their husband or their boyfriend watches porn on his own and they kind of look the other way. Harmful, not harmful? Be the authority here. What should people be doing?
I don't think there's a good reason to watch it, honestly. I think that including, say, couples watching it together, I think that these images are really powerful. And I think that once they get in your head, I think one of the things that porn does to, I mean, bearing in mind, by the way, that it's like a horrible industry. Like, let's just take that as read, right? It's like taking cocaine or something like that, right? Like, there's so much sort of misery contained within this product. But leaving that aside for just a moment, it's this doubling down thing that you describe. I think that porn shapes our sexuality in subtle and very insidious ways. And I mean, I just speaking to women who are younger than me, who are having relationships with younger men, they always say you can really tell if a guy watches porn. You can really tell. The way that he behaves in the bedroom is very clear. That his tastes have been developed by porn, and they don't consider that to be a compliment.
Okay, let's talk just...
True dat. True dat. It makes men horrible lovers. Horrible. And it points to like what she's talking about, some of these images you see. But some of the shit that I've seen in it has given me PRNTSD. Porn traumatic stress disorder. And I don't even watch this shit. I thought this was a fitting filter for porn traumatic stress disorder. The shit I've seen in mofo porn, I haven't even wanted to see in mofo porn, like for reals. Like the same guy, one of my gay BFFs from college, the one who told me about the rosebud porn, also told me about bukkake. It's all old school shit now. But he told me about bukkake because that was new back when he told me. And he was freaked out by that. Like, talk about the cooties. You have to Google that bukkake. And he told me about some gang rape porn. All that was the rosebud, the bukkake, and the gang rape porn was all out when he was watching it, when he was all into looking at straight porn and shit. And he was like, was freaked out. So he was like telling me about it. He was all like, you gotta check this out. Like, and that shit gave me porn traumatic stress disorder, seeing that shit. And then my same friend, I used to go clubbing with him all the time in college. And there was this one clubbing area for any gay folks in UW-Madison. It was maybe it was like this one block that was like the party block. It was the fun zone, you know. It was like this gay dance club. It was like the barber's closet, and then there was this other gay club underneath the dance club called the Manhole. Okay, so my friend, we would always dance there all the time, and women weren't allowed in the Manhole. Okay, like there was a big Tom of Finland, bouncer usually, but manning the door. But my friend, we were all out together, and he told us to look for him when we were about to leave, when they were closing up, because he wanted to get a ride home. So we were trying to look for him. We couldn't find him anywhere in the dance club. So we go down in the Manhole, and we saw that no one was manning the door. So we walked in. Normally we could never get in there, but we walked in. It was like this cavernous, like like it looked like literally like a manhole. Like it was some cavernous. It was dark, and all these dark nooks and crannies where people can go get their dick sucked, and what God only knows what else. And everything was just dark, and they had these big TV screens. And I just walked right past the TV screens at first, thinking it was just sports. Because anytime I see a bar, TV screens, and men, I just think sports, right? That's not the kind of sports that we're playing on these mofo TV screens, okay? I saw there was one huge ass TV screen with some dudes having an orgy, okay? There was another one with some hunky dude just jacking off in a chair by himself, okay? They had a whole buffet, TV buffet of kink, for their clients, okay? And then the third one, which is the one that gave me porn traumatic stress disorder, it was these two dudes banging and then like getting doo-doo everywhere and eating each other's doo-doo. Oh my God. And like that gave me porn traumatic stress disorder. Okay. So all this stuff like that I've heard about or just seen, it's just like, and I don't even, if dudes are watching this all the time, and they're seeing this week in and week out. Oh my God, it probably affects, it's just probably for reals. I know some kink McNasty is going to like this filter. Am I pretty or am I ugly? Which is it? So, all bullshit aside, one of the reasons why I think porn contributes to civilizational decline is because it deteriorates the relationships between men and women. If men don't have any reason to, as Louise Perry was pointing out, uh, achieve or motivate or to want to make an effort to be in a relationship to kind of level up, um, and they can just get all their sexual needs met through porn and looking at like a plethora of women in all different, I mean, shapes, sizes, situations, positions, whatever, they're not going to be motivated to, be in relationships with women. I feel like that's one of the contributing factors to why the dating world is like such horrible crap right now. And like, there's nothing like sex is a bonding mechanism. It's meant to be a bonding mechanism, right? Like, it's what bonds men and women together. Like, it's what helps stabilize relationships and households and to kind of bond a couple together. It's a very powerful energy force, and it's just going, like, and men are just bonding with their computer screens, and or to OnlyFans models that they'll never meet. I feel like the differences between men and women are being more emphasized because there's, instead of those differences coming together and working together in a couple, they're being exacerbated, and the differences, and it's like, seems like men and women don't like each other anymore. Okay, I'm doing pretty face filters and I'm doing ugly face filters. I'm messing with y'all's perception because I know they probably got a genre porn for this lady's beyond cougar. This is like Puma or some shit. It's like they got Puma porn. I'm sure they do, and they've got probably ugly woman porn. I know they got that. They got all kind. They got, dude. They got all this is like this. Anyway, um, but as far as like sex being really degraded in porn, it's like anything that's commodified. It's like all just to make money. So it's got to be this degraded, and it's like sex is this powerful energy, and I think it's a sacred energy, but people flip it. The porn just all like makes it gross and crass and all like just nasty. It cheapens it, degrades it, just to make a buck, get another dude hooked, and these greedy mofos just like pushers on the street. They don't care if they're messing up with dude's brain, they just want that money. These corporations and stuff, these porn hubs, and it's just like the solicitation of minors and the trafficking and all this stuff. Okay, so what happened to do unto others as you would have done unto yourself? Mofos aren't taking that biblical quote to heart with the porn. Like all these dudes getting their nut off, watching some woman's butthole fall out of her ass and taking it up to ass so much her butthole's falling out. Would they want that happening to them? I don't think so. Would they want a whole bunch of dudes jizzing all over them? Would they want to be gang raped? Dude, like these dudes getting off on this shit, like they like would they want this shit happening to them? And that being said, like my ex-husband was all up into porn and stuff. We would, dude. I was with him for 13 years. We went. There was time we went years without sex, or like a whole year straight. A good year was like every 3 months or some shit. Like it. And again, I would initiate it, and it sucked, and wondered why I even bothered. But anyway, but all the porn tabs I saw on the computer screen every time I would have to go use the computer, all the putting laundry away, and I'd see some fake vagina stuck to a freaking hustler mag. You know, like if I'm just wondering if he was the one that wanted to have a healthy, normal, loving sex life, right? Okay, and I wasn't providing that, right? And he saw like a whole bunch of porn tabs with these dudes, these big muscle bound dudes with big situations on the computer. Would he like that? If he was putting his clothes away, would he like seeing some Playgirl magazine or some, big dick magazine with some ripped hung studs, and there was a big fake dildo attached somewhere to it. Would he like seeing that? I wonder. In conclusion, the reason I wanted to explore this topic of porn is because I feel like it's affected my or impacted my life inadvertently. Even though I don't even watch it, um, I feel like it's affected my relationships. Or I've run into dudes that are affected by it. The guy, my friend that I talked about in in the videos, the one that told me about all these different um, extreme versions of porn. My friend from college, he had a problem with porn. He had a sex addiction problem. He was self-admitted that he had been going to groups like Sex Anonymous, groups because he knew he had a problem with it. So he was someone I knew who had a problem with porn and then sex addiction. And then I knew another. He was a gay guy, and then I had other gay friends that a couple that one of the partners also had a problem with it. I've just run into so many dudes that like have either you could tell they've been affected by it. The one guy that wanted to pee on me, I didn't even date that dude. I knew I wasn't going to be able to accommodate his preferences. And he was so conditioned by porn, like, and I'm talking about that in my next video, like that I had like peach fuzz on my thighs. I don't have a lot of hair. Like I just don't. Even with this filter, I don't have any hair. But he was so conditioned by the images he was seeing in porn. Peach fuzz freaked him out. He's like, "You need to shave your thighs." Oh, like I was like, "Oh hell no, I'm not rolling with this kinked out mofo like that thinks that peach fuzz is a problem." That's great. That's how conditioned these dudes get by this shit too. Like that peach fuzz causes a problem. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so it's affected a lot of people that I've known, and I've seen it in my own interpersonal relationships. I mean, it has larger sociological impacts, people think it's benign, it's like whatever, just like, just a masturbation tool like that, but it messes with people. And to sum up briefly, um, the 5 reasons why I think porn sucks balls is because it causes a lot of human suffering, and it's very degrading to women in particular. Like seen buttholes fall out of their butts, women getting choked and peed on and humiliated. Like this video here, um, was a documentary about the porn industry. Women are decrepit old hags at 25 and they have to go into this weird niche porns and they get choked out by penises till they vomit. Just crazy stuff. Like, what the hell? And the fact that a woman would be a decrepit old hag at the age of 25 is nothing short of insanity, you know? Anyway, and so there's all these degrading acts to women, but I really feel like it's just as damaging and exploitative to men as well. It messes with their mind, it messes with their ability for interpersonal relationships and intimacy. So it's just negative. It's a dirty industry, I think. And then it's compulsive to men. It's made to be compulsive to men. It's made to get money. So it's and it because of that compulsivity or that tendency to feed off that susceptibility in men, it can cause a lot of interpersonal relationships, and it affected my interpersonal relationships negatively, which is why I'm talking about it. It's a contributing factor to civilizational decline for a lot of all these reasons, all the other reasons. It affects interpersonal relationships. It's a dirty industry. I think men, they see all these images, they're bombarded by all these images of these women in these horrible, degrading kind of situations. And, we can see with even some of these OnlyFans models that are trying to one up each other with how many men they need to bang, like 100 men in a day, 1,000 men in a day. Like That's insane. Anyway, but like, where does the kink spiral end? Only into the depths of hell, into some Hieronymus Bosch painting, like just anyway, it commodifies, cheapens, and degrades sex. And also it makes men really bad lovers. Like from what I've seen, it's just like they're not present. They're not present with the person. It's not based on a genuine connection with another person. It's just like this person's just some visual prop. And they're in their fantasy, they're not with the person. They're like trying to reenact stuff they're seeing in their head. It's all like mental. And then they have to make the person that they're with fit these images that they're seeing. They compare the partner to what they've seen in porn. So it's not about like connection or intimacy, and there's no all the subtleties of sex with like smell and touch and affection and all these other kind of things. That it's just not about any of that. Just conditions them negatively. And it's like if a guy can be conditioned to get off on this, some like blow up doll with like, you know, boobs that probably feel like helium balloons and like weird hard orbs and just all this stuff. If he can be conditioned, he can be reconditioned to just like a natural woman. I'm just saying, and just be into. I mean, it's all conditioning, and I really feel like porn conditions men, and probably women too, because women have been pornified. They've been conditioned. They pornify themselves. They objectify themselves because we're just bombarded by these images. So yeah, those are my reasons.